Today, Deloitte is in deep waters. They actually got sued for using content as part of their, I would assume, consultancy reporting that contained AI content that was a hallucination. So basically they copy paste something out of AI, put it in their report, sell it for hundreds of thousands to a customer, and then they were caught. And now they're in court. And all of this is becoming a scandal. And the irony of all of this is that Deloitte and other companies like Deloitte are the ones that probably, if you're like me, you have a full-time job and you work in a corporate, are the ones that go to our C-level executives and talk to them about how to use AI in your corporate, how to help your employees to use AI right. These are the ones that get millions of dollars to just give these reports and consult on use of AI, and they themselves do not know how to use AI properly. Today, what I aim to do is give you a quick toolbox of things you can do to minimize the effort and minimize the probability, if not eliminate it, of having any hallucination in the use of AI. So before we carry on, I'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, like the video if you really like it. It will help spread it to more people who can benefit from this. And with this, and without any further ado, let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel, The Mic.
So if you want to read the article, you want to hear the story or know about the story about what happened to Deloitte. And by the way, Deloitte are not the first ones to put themselves in this situation. We remember in 2023, I think, the famous lawyer who I guess was debarred in the US for actually citing court cases that never happened. And the only thing I want you to see here in the article is that they are using AI in a $440,000 report. When I hear things like AI will replace consultancy firm, I enjoy these news because they're charging, and government here, I guess. I think the customer is a government entity in Australia. This amount of money for a report where they used AI. Now, using AI is not a crime. I am an advocate of using AI, but proper and respectful use of AI. Anyways, to explain what we want to cover today, hallucination is a concern when it comes to text, and you can actually interact with artificial intelligence through different means. That doesn't matter a lot. I just want to put it in perspective, and each kind of interface or interaction or friction between people and AI, depending on that platform, can be modified or can be addressed in a way to reduce the probability of hallucination, if not eliminate it. So the first one is the chat user interface. This is your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Gemini, your DeepSeek, whatever you are using. And the way to actually fix this or improve it is through settings, and I'll show you that in a second, but also using your brain. Nothing beats actually reading what you get from AI, checking it for yourself, does it make sense? Checking the citations that you get from the artificial intelligence model, if it's using browsing feature, and then reading those sources, not just looking at them. Clicking at some of them randomly or all of them, reading it, see if it's relevant, see if the same information is being reflected in the article. And I get it, that's lots of work. And at the end, I'll address how you can actually tailor your approach. The second one is automation. You'll find in work, in business, in many areas, maybe personal for you. And I have my own automation that I will show you. And I'll show you my guardrails for hallucination. If you have your own automations or business-driven automations by your employer or company, these automations also hallucinate because at the end of the day, it is using AI in the back end. But whatever you get out of that can actually be fixed through changing the flow of that automation. How do you fix that flow of the automation? Here I'm talking more of the low-code, no-code type of automation tools. You need to fix the flow in a way that checks the quality of the output, filters it out, validates it, uses human in the loop, get someone to review it before it goes out, because the automation might end up with a nice looking PDF report, for example, ready to go to some executive or some customer on some employee side. So whoever is addressing the content in the middle should have it as a human to approve or decline that information from AI to go to contribute to a report or actually be the report, okay? So you can fix it by flow and design, but again, your brain. Someone especially if we're talking business here, someone should use their brain either to do a quick check, sanity check, or actually to read the whole thing A to Z, okay? The last one is an application. We use many applications that use AI in the back end. So everything that you're getting went to an AI model, the model reasoned around it or thought around it, whatever the term we think is reasonable, and it gave you an output. So here you need to have your kind of guardrails in the code. So you need the development of this application to be upgraded to have such guardrails. It can have, by the way, a human in the loop. It can have so many things that will help you minimize the odds that things go wrong. But again, you have to use your brain. This is why when always people ask me about AI usage, I told them AI should augment our thought process, not automate our thought process. You do not want artificial intelligence to replace your thinking. You want it to complement. So think about a problem yourself and then get AI to help you with your thoughts, maybe give you new ideas. For you listening to me now, you might be laughing, thinking this is obvious. It's not. And even myself, I think I'm an expert AI user. Sometimes being busy in my day life, I feel the brain drift because your brain wants to relax itself. So I feel the brain drift where my brain wants to rely on AI without actually running. So you'd have to be conscious about this fact. But here what I put, the main thing to basically, at least for now, in 2025, you need to always use your critical thinking and your brain when you are using AI, especially when it matters. Why I say where it matters, so I made this comment in the beginning of this slide, you need to tailor your approach. For example, if this is your personal use, I would honestly not think too much about it. If something makes sense for me, I get it from AI, I'll use it or try it. If not, I will just ignore it. So that's one way to think about it. But definitely, if it's something that is going for family and friends, even for business, for my customer, for my employer or my manager or my executives, especially if it's something to influence a decision. I'm not talking about an email here internally within the company, something like the report that Deloitte sent. This is where you need to actually do everything that can be done to validate the information. So you put most of the effort. Everything in between actually, and I will help you do that, you can put systems, settings, things in place that will give you pieces of information to make a quick judgment call without actually every time reading the whole thing. Because this, for me, defies the purpose. So today I will show you all of these tools for the chat interface, for the automation, not the application. The application is something, again, follows what we are doing in both these ones, but this is something that you have to fix by code. I can show you the automation part while we look at certain flows in N8N, and we build a concept flow on N8N for something that we can potentially use in reality. Okay, let's start with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, as we said, it's settings and brain. Always you have to read. But the settings part, we go and click on our account here in the left bottom, and you get the personalization tab. You click on it and you get the custom instructions. Here where you actually tell ChatGPT instructions on how to engage with you when you give it a prompt or a query. Now, this is very important because I think many people, there's so many content creators and experts saying this is very important to actually use, but I am pretty sure that most people don't use this. I'm not going to cover my instructions. If you want me to do a video on my personal instructions, how I structure them, how I build them, write me a comment in the comment section. I'll do that for you in the future. For now, I will focus on hallucination and what kind of instructions personally I have in here that will minimize or prevent hallucination, or at least give me the information to do more or less work in checking what I'm getting from ChatGPT. And all of that boils down to two statements in my instructions. The first one, cite high quality sources, rate credibility from 0 to 10, flag any below 6. So here, I'm giving ChatGPT the instruction that always, whenever you go and get sources to use in your response for me, always rank those sources on a scale of 0 to 10 and only use anything above 6 and flag anything that is below 6. This is where credibility is questioned. So this also considers the credibility of the sources ChatGPT is looking into. And this is very important because ChatGPT will go and search the internet, and you do not know every time, or maybe you don't spend every time the time to see the sources where it actually got the information. So you want to put it in a frame of thought or a frame of reasoning where ChatGPT will actually think, oh, let me rank the citation of this site. And is it credible or not? Oh, I'll put this as 5 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons. If it's below 6, well, I have to be careful when I respond. At least I'll have to flag it to the user, which is me. If it's 9, 8, it looks safe, so I'll list it as a 9 and 8 source, and I will also use it in my response. The second one is run plausibility checks. State uncertainty when evidence is weak. Again, I'm reframing it to think critically as a model. So it will pump out the first draft of its response, then it will check if it's plausible. Is this making sense? If it looks at sources, it will think, are these sources making sense? Is there any consensus of these credible sources? It will take all of that and it will include it in the response for me. That part of the response, which I will always ask it to have when it responds to me, is for me a quick way to really assess what I get from ChatGPT. I look at it, I look at the ratings, the credibility, any comments from ChatGPT. I decide, okay, this is safe to proceed with, or this is something I need to reread myself. Again, depending on the importance of the response usage. Is it going to work, a customer, or is it just something for me, right? So these two lines will change the whole game. If that person in Deloitte had these two lines, probably they wouldn't be in this position. So Deloitte, if you want me to consult you on how you use AI rather than you consult other corporates, please feel free to contact me, and I'm gonna charge you $440,000 for that, okay? So I'm gonna show you one example that I ran and how the response will come to me. And this probably will not be the way ChatGPT responds to everyone, just because of this custom instruction. And also I'll show you, which is the exact two lines where you can actually add those lines in something like Claude. So all of these AI models have this kind of a system prompt area where you can maneuver and modify the behavior of the chat model. So this is a chat request using the Thinking Mini ChatGPT 5 model. And again, these things will run better with a thinking model. So if you're paid and you have even Thinking Mini access to a smallest thinking model, it will do good when it comes to reasoning around credibility. I just want to show you two things here. The part where I get a response and how it comes, but also as it was running, the level of thinking it's doing. So it was searching for the Deloitte Australia AI hallucination scandal based on my prompt. I just gave it a single line. You can see here, it's a one-liner. Give me an article about this scandal for Deloitte and using AI in the report, okay? And then what it did some summarization, and then it did clarity and citation rules. So it's using my rules around citation and checking them. Again, considering and clarifying questions, balancing clarifying questions and guidelines. So what it's doing, it's going through steps of thought, or chain of thought, if you want to call it that, where it is reasoning and breaking down all the information it has before it responds to me to give me all what I asked for. So let's look here at what I got as part of the response. Credibility rating of the main sources used. So you can see one by one. For example, Financial Times, 9 out of 10. Associated Press, 9 out of 10. And so forth. It goes down. And then this last one, CFO Dive, this is getting 7 out of 10. Here it's telling me no source I used scores below 6. So it's actually following the instruction. Where reporting conflicts, I noted the disagreement about whether AI was the sole cause, which remains uncertain. It's even highlighting some conflicting information between these reports, which is interesting. So this is for me, my quick look at any response I get because of the instructions, where I decide, you know what? This either requires more review personally from me to read, or actually I can trust with this level of credibility and just use the content. Again, the use of the content matter, where you're going to use it. Now, if we go to Claude, it is the same. If you go to your user tab in the bottom left, click at it, go to general, you're going to have what they call what personal preferences should Claude consider in response. So in responses, this is the instructions, right? And you're gonna find that I have the exact same two statements put here for Claude. And you can see cite high quality, preferably peer-reviewed sources for any claims. So I'm kind of rewording it differently here. Rate each source credibility 0 to 10 and flag anything below 6. Run plausibility checks to reduce hallucination. State uncertainty clearly when evidence is weak. So I'm putting a clear section here that actually tells the Claude model every time I need you to do these checks, so I know how credible the information is coming from it. Now, honestly, for Claude, I use it mostly for coding related things. I never run into hallucination risk. This is more important for ChatGPT, where I actually use it to write things for me or think with it or come up with ideas. Okay, so I showed you at least how to address the easiest part, which is the user interface. Now let's go to automations. And automation for me, something like this in 8N, it's a no-code, low-code tool to build systems and automations. The logic matters, because once you understand or get sophisticated logic in handling these kind of situations where you want to minimize or eliminate hallucination, you actually can reflect it anywhere, especially in automation, but also in code. So you can do the same thing in code. Anyways, there's code behind all of this. So I just want to show you something actually I use. So every week I publish something around supply chain and procurement on LinkedIn. This is my day job, procurement and supply chain. And I built this small system to do a research, get me the recent news on the topic, and then I take it through kind of a flow that helps me minimize the risk of hallucination in whatever I post out there. And here I'm doing it with my brain, right? I can actually make it more sophisticated. I don't need to, because this is personal use. I have the time, I have the 5 minutes I need to review an article that this system generates before it goes to LinkedIn. But if I'm using this on higher rate, higher pace, maybe for some other use cases, I'm gonna build you a demo. We're not gonna run it today, but just a demo to see how it works. If it's easy, maybe we can actually get it to run. So at least personally for my case, what I want to do here is not have it fully automated. I don't want AI to publish things on my behalf on LinkedIn without me giving it my final say. So the way the logic works here, and again, do not worry about everything you're seeing here, just think about the logic. If you're someone building these systems, you'll be familiar with this, and if you get the logic, you can build it for yourself. So this is the simplest way to do it, okay? And it's a robust way because it's using the human brain. So what I do here is, okay, there's a trigger. Every week it happens, and once that trigger runs, it goes to an AI agent. You can see the AI agent here. It has tools of accessing the internet. This is Perplexity, so you can see it uses deep research and internet search or internet search, and then it prepares for me a LinkedIn article or a LinkedIn post that it sends to me in an email in a what is called a human in the loop function, meaning that email will come to me saying, this is the proposed LinkedIn post. Do you approve or decline? Do you want it to proceed or you want to kill it? Basically. So I read it on my mobile. So it's very convenient for me. I read it on my mobile. If I want to check, because usually I get the citation with it. So on my mobile, okay, let me check these links. I open the links. I cross-check, like spot check some of the facts from that article or that link that it got. The credibility of that source myself, I just look at it. These sources usually are well-known supply chain sources. If I know it's a high quality kind of publication, okay, I consider it a good one. And then I read the article. So it's using the same numbers, referring to the same facts. So, okay, if it's good, I approve it. That automatically goes to LinkedIn. If it's not good, I decline. Now, once I decline, this will happen. So if you see here, this is like an if statement, or it's kind of a switch. So if I approve the human in the loop function here, or that email that comes to me, if I click the approve button, it will actually go to this part here. It will go to the top part that actually carries on and does other things. It doesn't, if I decline, it will again come to me as a human in the loop. But this time it's not giving me a new post because there's no other AI. It's actually giving me a text box. So telling me, okay, what do you want to change? If you do not want to change it, do you want to write something different? So I can write my actual post into that box and say, now you can go, and then it will actually go again and publish it to LinkedIn. So regardless of whatever goes to LinkedIn, I am as a human behind it. So sometimes it's 100% done by AI because it's good, valid, something I would write. It writes it in my tone, by the way. Or it could be something that I edit it. So sometimes I copy the same original article, paste it, modify things around it in my own words, and then let it go. I am always there to check. So this is my way for such a weekly, single time, simple LinkedIn post. And by the way, if you're wondering what this OpenAI step does, well, this just is a cleanup step. So I remove all of the dashes, I remove all of the formatting text that could be spillover from the agent. I remove all of that. So the post is clean, nice, and nice looking for LinkedIn. So that's the only reason I have this AI step here. Now, finally today, I will just build the logic with you of something similar, something that would create maybe articles for us, where we use AI. This is the simplest way to do it, where we use AI to actually do this citation checks for us, this vetting for us, okay? So we do that embedded within the model, and we can add at the end a human in the loop, but before the human checks, the AI checks. And if the AI is super sure, it will carry on. If it's not sure, it can come to a human to check. So you can have two layers there. So you minimize the workload on the human, on yourself. So let's build something quick around that. And just for the logic, if you're not interested, this is the part where you can leave, but I want just to build it so people who are interested can get that logic together and maybe build something for themselves. Okay, so this is a blank slate for an automation. You do not need to know what an 8N and how it works. I just want you to focus on the logic. Forget about the technical part. I will not cover lots of technicalities here, okay? I just will create a flow look. I will not actually configure it today. This is not why the video is there. And if you want me to do something step by step with you, write me a comment in the comment section. Maybe I consider it for a future video. So here we want a trigger. Actually, we can keep it as a chat trigger. So I can create a chatbot that I ask it something and it will go and create an article for me. Okay. After that, I need the agent. So this is my agent, and this agent needs an AI model. So let's give it, for example, ChatGPT. We give it the ChatGPT model. It needs a memory, so I'll give it the memory, and it needs a tool. So here I will go for Perplexity, and Perplexity tool, we can use research. But what I want to do here is a research. So you can see you have all of the Perplexity models. I want to go with the Sonar Deep Research. Okay, and you can notice here it has its own reasoning, so you can have embed it in the same tool, but let's do it maybe more independent type of flow, so we are sure that the model doing the content is not the model checking the content. It's the two different models. So we have deep research here. So basically here I ask it, for example, give me an article about the financial markets in 2025. This will go, it will do a deep research in the internet, and it will write the article. Good, here I have the article ready. So I want to send it out in an email or post it to LinkedIn. But I don't want just to do that now. I want to do a check step. To do that, I will add another agent. Again, this is the simplest way. It can get a little bit more complex, more robust. So I have the second agent. This agent, agent one, we can call it, actually, let's change the name. Let's call this agent checker agent. So this is the agent that will actually check the content for me. Again, we will connect the same things here. We need a model. Just for the sake of this, we'll select a different model. Let's go for an open router here, okay? And let's select maybe a good model that you consider good in kind of critiquing the content of a huge amount of text and has tool calling functionalities. So basically something that will work with still with agents. Here we can again put Perplexity, okay? And we go with Perplexity. Here it can be the normal Sonar because it will go to the internet to do spot checks. Again, you need a memory. Now here what we can do as well is something else. So here I want this agent to help me later on filter out. So what we can do, again, I will not go to the details of this. I can simply require a specific output format. So I'll put this tab here. I want a specific output format. And here I will change that whatever it's getting as an input is something that I will define below. So this is something basically that will be the output of the previous agent. Now for this agent, once I activate this, again, this is a concept. You don't need to worry about it a lot now. But for me, I want to really constrain the model to give me one single thing in a very specific structure. And this is why I actually activated that part. Now here, let me make it more clear. So I have now an output parser. So it gets the output and it will parse it in a specific way for my use. I click at it here. And let's go and get the structured output parser. And here we can generate from a JSON example. For me, I want it in a JSON example. I will want a state. We can keep the state. And I want it here as yes or no. Actually, you know what? We can do it. I want it, for example, 8. Okay. Why 8? So here, when I have this, what I can do now, I go to the agent, when I give it the prompt, and even I can introduce a system prompt or system message here, I will ask it to take the content, check it for credibility step by step, use the internet to cross-check every piece of information in the article, and then give me a single rank for the credibility and the usability of this article out of 10, okay? So with this parser, the model will always respond with an object. So this is a JSON object, forget about the technicalities, but it's a variable now that I can use in the automation. So it will say 0, 1, 2 until 10, okay? Now, because of having this, I can add a step now, which is an if step. So this is kind of a crossing I can create in my automation. So here, for example, again, I will say if output, so if the output from the model is, it's a number, so we can put, for example, is greater than. If it's greater than 8, then consider this true and execute. So we have true and false. So here we can put LinkedIn now. So here, for example, I have create a post, I have my LinkedIn post going out. But if it's false, we can do many things. We can just kill it so the post doesn't come out, but also we can do a human in the loop. Okay, or I can actually trigger a secondary flow. I can actually get it to run again. So if it's false, go and trigger the model again with a message. I can put something here in the middle, like a set function, a message again, for example, try again. Okay, and I can connect it here. There are so many ways to do this, just showing you the idea. So you can do things to get the flow to run again for you, to do something higher quality, or we can use human in the loop. And for me, I prefer human in the loop. So you can see there's a whole section of human in the loop. We select it. For example, we want to go for using email. I prefer email. And you can put a message and get something that will come to you. Either you approve, modify, or decline. And then after that, you can build some details around the flow and maybe take it again to LinkedIn for a post. And then it goes out. This is the intent of this, to show you the logic. So even I can have AI actually with an agent, an AI agent that will do the checks for me. Ironically, none of this was done by anyone in Deloitte. They don't understand this. They don't get this. They don't know about this. They don't even, I am assuming, know how to properly use ChatGPT. They don't understand prompting. They don't understand models and AI and hallucination. And if they spent 5 minutes on YouTube, I am doing this content, so many other creators in AI are doing such content, they would know what to do and how to use artificial intelligence properly. So my offer is still out there. If you are in Deloitte and you don't want to be in those hot waters again in the future, hit me up. We can have a chat and I will charge you heftily. So be sure of that. With this, I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you found it useful. Now you know how to properly deal with AI in its simplest form. And with this, if you enjoyed my content and my video, hit that subscribe button, support my channel, hit that like button, maybe share it with someone else. And with this, Thank you for watching and giving me your time, and goodbye.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.